I had been on the road for hours, the long stretch of highway seeming to never end. I had been a trucker for years, driving alone through the endless expanse of open roads. But tonight, something felt off. But I couldn't quite put my finger on it, but a sense of unease had been creeping up on me since I started my journey. The silence of night was only broken by the rumbling of my truck's engine and the occasional howling of the wind. The darkness seemed to shallow everything in its path, making the road seemed never-ending. Just as I was about to shrug off my uneasiness and continue on, my truck suddenly started to sputter and slow down. I cursed, pulling over to the side of the road. I got out and checked the engine, but everything seemed to be in working order. With a frustrated sigh, I climbed back into the driver's seat and turned the key, hoping that the problem had fixed itself. But as soon as I started the engine, I noticed a figure standing in the distance, just at the edge of the darkness. My heart started to race as I squinted, trying to make out of what or who it could be. I had driven on these roads countless times, and I had never seen anyone out here in the dead of night. Fear started to take the hold of me as a chill ran down my spine. I quickly turned off the engine and sat in silence, my eyes never leaving the figure in the distance. But to my horror, the figure started to move towards me. Without hesitation, I jumped out of the truck and ran towards the back, grabbing a tire iron for protection. The figure was getting closer and my heart was pounding in my chest. I could see now that it was a person, their features hidden in the shadows. "Who are you and what do you want?" I yelled, trying to keep my voice steady. The figure stopped in the tracks, only a few feet away from me. They remained silent, almost as if they were studying me. The air around us was thick with tension and fear. I could feel my heart racing as I stood there, the tire iron shaking in my grip. After what it felt like an eternity, the figure finally spoke. "You shouldn't have stopped." The voice was deep and raspy, sending shivers down my spine. I was about to ask them what they meant when suddenly the unknown person lunged at me. I swung the tire iron in self-defense and managed to hit him in the arm. They stumbled back and quickly recovered, throwing themselves at me once again. We grappled in the darkness, my adrenaline pumping as I tried to fight off the stranger who seemed to have been attacking me for no reason. But just as I was about to get the upper hand, I felt a sharp pain under my side and everything went black. When I woke up, I was lying in a dark room, my hands and feet bound with rope. A panic set as I was looking around, trying to make sense of my surroundings. The room was dimly lit, with a single light bulb hanging from the ceiling. Just as I was about to try to break free from my restraints, the door creaked open, revealing the figure from the highway. But now, they were clad in a long cloak, their face hidden in the shadows. "Do you know why you're here?" Their voice echoed through the room. I shook my head, my heart racing. "You stopped on the wrong stretch of the highway at the wrong time. You see, this is my territory, and I don't take kindly to trespassers." The figure spoke with an unnerving calmness. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. This person, this stranger, had attacked me and kidnapped me for simply stopping on the side of the road. As if sensing my thoughts, they continued. "You see, I've been waiting for someone like you, someone who's foolish enough to stop and enter my domain." I struggled against my restraints, but they were tight and showed no signs of giving. The figure watched with amusement, almost if they were enjoying my torment. "I feed on fear, you see, and you're going to be my next meal," they revealed with a sinister smile. I closed my eyes, trying to make sense of this nightmare. How had I ended up in this situation? How was I going to get out of it? But as the figure came closer, ready to feed on my terror, I remembered something my late grandmother had told me when I was a child. She had always warned me to never trust strangers, but especially those who seemed to thrive on causing harm and fear. With all the strength I could muster, I let out a battle cry and lunged at the figure. Surprised by my sudden attack, they stumbled back, and I used the opportunity to break free from my restraints and run towards the door. I didn't look back as I ran through the darkness, my heart pounding in my ears. Finally, I saw the exit and burst out into the night air, grasping for air. I did not stop running until I was back in my truck, and even then, I drove as fast as I could away from the stretch of the highway. Years later, I still think about the night and wonder who or what the figure was, and if they were still out there, waiting for their next victim. I never stop on the side of the road now, always reminding myself of the horrors that could be lurking in the darkness. Because sometimes, the scariest things are not the things we can see, but the things that hide in the shadows.